Chapter 32. Sophie. Alf appeared on the deck of the tugboat. He pointed at the sky. He wasn't pointing out the snow, was he? But when Ida looked up, she saw a crane on the ship, and tied up like a Christmas present, swinging from the winch, was one of the coffins. As it descended, Alf helped the skipper guide it onto the quayside. Sergeant Ched Jackson trudged across the quay and joined Ida and Baby, brushing snow off his uniform. "Well, Ida, the laundry won't take kindly to one of their vans being used in a high-speed chase across the countryside with underage drivers. They reported it stolen when young Leonard Cook didn't show up for his work this morning." The fact that Ida was now a van thief would have to wait, because the second coffin was already dangling midway between the winch and the deck of the tugboat. "But this is certainly a rum old do, I'm telling you," continued the policeman. "Am I right in thinking there's kiddies in those coffins?" "Yes." Ida was so relieved she hugged him. "Oh, there now, young lady." He straightened his helmet and brushed away a few more flakes. "It certainly makes sense of what the Teesdale lad has been blabbing about in the baker's bonnet when he's had a pint too many. Your uncle, one of Nettlefield's most respected citizens and all. I'm surprised he keeps those lads on." "My uncle doesn't approve of drinking alcohol, but he is one of those Blackshirts," said Ida. "He certainly is, mister. The worst of the lot," added Baby. "Well, we can't arrest a person for their politics, more's the pity, but we can for kidnapping." He took his notebook and pencil out of his top pocket, flipped the notebook open, licked the pencil, turned to Baby and poised to write. "Now, young lady, you and your friends have been giving us a right old run around. While we're waiting, should we start with your name?" On his other side, Ida tugged on the policeman's sleeve. "But he still has Bonnie!" She kept a firm grip on him until Baby had slipped away and lost herself back in the huddle of girls, boys, and dog waiting by the broken-down laundry van. When Ida's grip loosened, Sergeant Jackson gently brushed her hand away. "That's a little trickier," he said. "I checked with Stanley Wimpole at the council. Your uncle and Mrs. Buller at the Grange are now your sister's legal guardians." "But you said it yourself, he's a criminal." Ida's hands made fists. It took all her effort to stop herself pummeling his portly, uniform belly to make him understand. "You'll have to wait while we sort that out through the proper channels, Ida." "Wait!" Ida's mouth dropped open, but she was too dumbfounded to speak. The policeman wasn't listening anyway. He was trudging over to the edge of the quay. The fourth coffin had just been untied from its ropes, and the tugboat was rumbling from the ship's side to the quayside. The Monte Olivia gradually picked up speed, churning billows of smoke out of its funnels to carry on sailing down Southampton water. The tug moved a lot faster without the ship to push. In less than a minute, the skipper had brought it by the quayside again. Alf jumped off into the snow and tied the tugboat cowshot to one of the big fat bollards the ships used. The skipper lowered a gangplank and signalled to Sergeant Jackson to come on board. Looking a bit nervous of the gangplank, while he was still on solid ground, Sergeant Jackson beckoned to them all. "As your friends are all safely off the ship, we'll allow you to go on board and see them." Baby, Gin, Fingers, Brian, Robert, William and Frank trudged across the quay, though Frank had to leap in little bounds to not be buried by the snow. Baby looped her arm through Ida's and they all boarded the little tug. It was a squash on deck with the coffins there too. Alf quickly found Ida. "Did you drive all the way?" Alf didn't so much look jealous as impressed. "Not quite, but I did the last bit. Skipper said he'll be giving me a go at the wheel soon." Alf stretched a fraction taller. It does the same job as a car steering wheel," he added by way of explanation. On the deck, 4 coffins were laid side by side. If Ida hadn't known what was inside, it would have been a terrible sight. The girls gathered round them. Frank wagged his tail enthusiastically, though he could have no idea why. "Sophie, is that you? Are you there? It's me, Baby." A faint knock came from inside the second in line. "Open this one first, she's awake." A member of the tug's crew wedged a crowbar under the lid of the Goldilocks girls' coffin and made little gaps all round the edge. The skipper watched over him. "Careful now, Bert, there's a nipper in there." "Aye, aye, Skip." Girls, I just needed a bit of space to get this off. Bert pushed on the crowbar and lifted the lid. Inside lay a girl who looked like an older version of Bonnie, a frizz of blonde curls round an angelically pale face with two thick golden plaits laid on her shoulders. In the rough, unlined wooden box, she squinted in the light. She wore a plain dress with long sleeves. Her fists were clenched, and Ida noticed how red and sore her knuckles were. Baby tried to throw her arms round the girl's neck. For a moment, Ida thought she was going to climb in the coffin with her. Then the angelic-looking girl raised her arms out of the coffin and wrapped them round Baby instead. "I'm that sorry it took so long," said Baby. "I believed you," she said simply, as the snow fell on both of them. Baby helped Sophie out of the horrible box. Sophie leaned on Baby to stand. Baby's face was wet and her eyes glistening with tears. Bert lifted the lid on the last coffin. The three other children were still fast asleep. Sergeant Jackson took his helmet off, leaned over and listened to each child's breathing before he tried to establish some order amongst the reunited girls. "There you are now, you have your friend." He replaced his helmet on his head and tried to straighten it, but it was a bit on the small side. "Spencer," Sergeant Jackson called to the policeman still on the quayside. "Spencer, get all these nippers off the boat and take them back to Netterfield." "Yes, Sarge," replied the very keen Constable Spencer, bobbing about on the snowy quayside. Sergeant Jackson coughed and in his most official voice said, "We have measures in place to apprehend Mr. Underwood. This is a police matter now."